Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we're going over all of the games that have been confirmed to release in the month of March, plus there's a few surprises on the way, and I'll also speculate what we might see at this year's VR showcase. Now, like normal, there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we dive in, a quick reminder that all dates are subject to change, and I can't always give you a release date because sometimes they haven't been made publicly available just yet. Now, starting off, we have two new games coming to the Quest Plus subscription service, and that includes the golfing simulator Golf Plus and the absolutely fantastic roguelite shooter The Light Brigade. And you'll also be getting unlimited access to 4 additional games, including the story-driven co-op shooter Aspire 2, the multiplayer sword fighting title Broken Edge, the puzzle game Angry Birds VR, and finally the racing title Mini Moto Racing X. But I'm sure you guys are much more interested in upcoming new titles, so let's get into that right now, starting with the story-driven title Lovesick. Your band is going to be sucked into an alternate reality that you'll have to escape from, which will have you going on a trippy adventure where you need to solve puzzles and play your guitar in order to break free. This reminds me a bit of the older Telltale adventure games, so I'm definitely intrigued for this one. And next up, we have the action-adventure shooter Stellar Plans. It's a unique experience that has you taking on the role of a human warrior or a Warcraft creature. You'll be battling armies of humans, machines, beasts, and aliens in an effort to uncover the stellar plans and find the city's secrets. I've actually been in touch with the developer of this game, and it's actually a one-man show. It's a labor of love, and he's keeping the price tag extremely low at only $6.99. The next action-adventure title on the list is Demon Tormentor, which looks pretty damn cool, but the trailer's just a tease. A ritual has gone terribly wrong and a demon has now been released into the world. With the help of an occult investigator, you'll be battling demons and performing magic rituals in order to set things right. The game has some really cool images, but I'm not sure if we're dealing with a sleeper hit or just complete garbage. But if you're not into shooters or fighting demons, there's a really cool kid-friendly fantasy RPG coming called Mythic Realms. It's a combination of mixed reality battles, roguelite style journeys, mini games like fishing and wood collecting, and building up your own virtual town. I would honestly be extremely excited for this game if it was just a little bit more maturely themed. But we could always jump back to mowing down hordes of enemies with the tower defense style shooter Orc Hunter Elven Archer. Armed with a bow, unlimited arrows, special power-ups, and some base fortifications, your only goal is to survive relentless waves of enemies. In terms of VR gameplay, this is pretty old school, but I have nothing against a good old-fashioned wave shooter if it's done well. There's currently a free demo available on Steam if you want to go ahead and check this out. Now, once again, diverting away from your typical shooters, how does operating some heavy machinery sound? The construction site simulator Dig VR is making its way onto some additional platforms this month, and you can finally fulfill your childhood dream of operating backhoes and other construction vehicles. Dig was actually quite well received when it released a few months back on the Meta Quest, and I'm happy to see that other VR gamers will get a chance to try this one out. But the really heavy machinery that's moving on to additional platforms is some multi-ton gorilla style mechs. Underdogs is making its way onto the PlayStation VR2, and I highly recommend this roguelike brawler. You'll be jumping into a dystopian world filled with underground fighting pits where you'll get to crush tons of robotic enemies, entertain the crowd, and hopefully not die in the process. This game is absolutely dripping with style, and it was one of my favorite releases for 2024. And speaking of older titles that I absolutely love coming to new platforms, the story-driven first-person horror-themed shooter The Living Remain is coming to the Quest headset. When I originally played through this for PC VR, it reminded me of a good old-fashioned single-player experience, similar to something like an early Resident Evil title, back when the series was a bit more grounded and didn't get overly crazy. It's your typical storyline where the entire world has been decimated by a zombie outbreak, and every single day is a battle for survival with only small pockets of humanity remaining. When I originally played through this, I found the campaign to have the perfect balance of storytelling plus challenging puzzles and combat. Now, I know zombie games are a dime a dozen, but I really think Questers will enjoy this one. Now, next up, we have a Kung Fu style brawler with a little bit of John Wick influence. Path of Fury has you busting through doors and punching your way through gangs of enemies. It's similar to something like Pistol Whip being turned into a gang fighting brawler, and as cool as that sounds, in practice, I just did not enjoy the demo at all. The low polygon graphics absolutely killed the immersion for me, and it just didn't have the right sense of flow. Now, I can't say how much has changed since the demo, but after about an hour in, I decided it's just not for me. And last up in March releases, we have two two really big titles. The high production value time-traveling puzzler Wanderer Fragments of Fate is finally releasing on March 27th. This is a remake of an already fantastic game, but now it's coming to additional platforms with enhanced graphics, mechanics, and additional content. You'll get to explore everything from ancient caves to World War II battles, the surface of the moon, and even a dystopian flooded version of Boston. Now, after many delays, I think this game will finally be worth the wait. And that second really big title is Hitman World of Assassination. This is the fourth Hitman attempt for the VR series, and I'm really hoping they finally pull it off. The original PlayStation VR version was a mess when it came to the controls. It was pretty much the same situation when it moved to PC VR, and the Quest release of this game made my eyes bleed. So I'm crossing my fingers and remaining optimistic, but I really don't want to be let down for a fourth time. In a perfect world, they'll nail this version, and then it'll eventually make its way onto PC VR. Now that right there was all of the confirmed releases, but as of making this video, I know of 10 additional titles that will also be releasing, but haven't made their dates available just yet. Now I'm really excited for at least 2 out of those 10 games, and I also want to point out that on March 11th, the VR gaming show is returning, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a few surprises from this one. The top of that list would be some updates coming from Flat the VR Studios, as we already know they have some ongoing projects like Flat Out and RoboQuest, but I think they're getting ready to announce some new stuff in the near future. And this is where I turn things over to you guys and the comments. Overall, how are you feeling about VR and the games planning to drop in March? What titles would you like to see Flat the VR Studios bring to VR? And on a scale of 1 to 10, what are your expectations for the upcoming VR gaming showcase? This is my own personal curiosity. I always love hearing your feedback, and I just want to test the temperature of the room. Now that was today's video. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And as always, I'll see you guys on next time.